Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and welcome to part 2 of the Project Mildrids Ashtray, which is this old, rather neglected BBC Micro. If you remember in the last video, I did ask whether people wanted to see me do work on the power supply next, or the motherboard. And of the few people that did comment, the vast majority wanted me to work on the main board of the computer first. Which is quite fortunate, being that I've just discovered that I didn't actually have all the capacitors that I needed to finish recapping the power supply. I have the power supply here, and it does have the usual. I mean, we could probably just get this working, but I want to do a complete recap on this thing. It has indeed, I don't know if we can see that in this light, but if you look down there, it has actually blown its capacitor down there. The other one under the switch there actually seems okay. Doesn't look like that one has actually blown, but we'll be changing it anyway. So I mean, if I wanted to just get it working, we could just install the capacitor kit that we've got there. But I want to do this thing so it really future-proof it. So basically what we need, as well as that capacitor kit, we need, I don't know if you can see this on here, we need a 100 UF 250 volts, we need two of them. We don't need that 220 there because that actually comes in the capacitor kit that I've got. We need 1000 UF at 16 volts, we need 3 of them. We need 100 UF at 25 volts, we need 2 of them. And we need 2200 UF at 16 volts, and we need 1 of them. And I think I had a couple of 1000 volt 16, sorry, 1000 UF 16 volt caps in. I didn't have 3, or at least I didn't have 3 really good quality ones. So I thought, sod it, I spent, I got them from CPC, and I got a couple of extras and stuff, and it was under a tenner anyway. And I've gone for all Panasonic brand capacitors. They're all good quality, proper recognised brand capacitors. So once this is done, we're not going to have to really worry about it for the next 20-30 years. So the caps that I've got coming are to completely do all the electrolytics in here, like I said, and we'll do a proper video starting from scratch, starting with the little retro computer shack kit, and then we'll show the capacitors I'm going to add to that, and then we'll actually do the full recap. And what we might even do, just for a bit of fun, is I'll put the retro computer shack kit in here, and we'll power up the PSU, and we'll check the voltages coming out of it, see what we've got coming out of it. We've just put in the retro computer shack kit in it. Then we'll go ahead and we'll recap the rest of the power supply, and we'll just check them voltages again and just see how we'll get a better closer to the actual voltages that should be coming out of there. I'm guessing these will have aged quite badly, these capacitors, so we should get closer to our actual correct voltages once we've done that. But like I said, we'll do that as a bit of an experiment in the next video, or at least the next, soon as my capacitor order from CPC arrives. Anyway, so in this video we will have a crack at the main board. I think what we'll do, really, it's in such a filthy state, we've got no option really but to give it a wash. Like I say, unfortunately it's been absolutely doused in something like WD-40. It's not just switch cleaner, it's something that's left like an oily residue behind, and I really want to get that off the board. And unfortunately it's been done a while ago, a long time ago, and it was done before any dust was really cleaned off the board, and they seem to have just basically, the grease and the oil has dried in with the dust that was already on the board, and it's pretty horrible, to be honest. So we really do need to address that. We'll remove the keyboard. We'll work on the keyboard in a completely separate video of its own, getting that keyboard back up to how it should be, so we won't worry about that too much now. Someone did point out in the comments on the previous video that they thought that the spacebar was upside down on the keyboard, and it is, yeah, someone's actually installed the keyboard upside down, so we'll have to take that off and flip it round. There's also two keys there. I think they're off a different keyboard. They don't look correct for this keyboard. I'm wondering whether they might be off a master keyboard or something like that, because I think they are slightly different. But I'll have to look into that. But them two keys there are definitely different as well. Anyway, that's not the point of this video today. The point of this video today is having a look at this. And I think what we're going to do, I've got some. I've run out of anti-static foam, so I've done the old cheat. I've got a bit of basically it's like an expanded polystyrene type stuff. It's not that little bitty polystyrene. It's a packing kind of polystyrene. Cut it into some sheets and then wrapped it in tin foil. And this works quite well as a way to ground out your chips and keep them safe. Obviously, while they're not in the computer. I've got my anti-static, which I'm going to put on. So we've got some anti-static precautions there. And what I'm going to do, we've still got a lot of ICs that are just randomly flopping around on the board. Like I said, everything was literally just in an envelope when I got this thing. That's got a bent pin on it. I'm wondering which one of these is actually, hopefully I can straighten that pin. I'm actually wondering which one of these is the disk drive controller, if it indeed does have a disk drive controller in here. I'm not sure whether this has come from a school. I'm guessing it's come from a school. In fact, I'm guessing it's possibly come from a primary school, with the fact it hasn't got Ethernet on it. And it wasn't as common unless it was like a massive primary school for them to be networked up. They just usually have them on a trolley. The school usually probably only have 2 or 3. I think my primary school, which was a tiny little rural primary school, only had 2. There was one in our the upper juniors, porter cabins. That's how small the school was, and there was one in the main building, and that was about it. That was in very late 80s. So, like I say, if it was used in a primary school, there is a chance it never had. They were never bothered with networking. That's why it's not got the Ethernet or anything. Or this did actually belong to like a home buyer or a business or something like that. Because we really don't know. So I'm just taking what was loose out then, and next thing I'm going to do, I'll just get my my chip puller. Oops, sorry about that. I just bashed the tripod with the old toolbox then. I'm going to pull out anything, basically anything that's socketed, and I'm going to put them across over here onto the foil that I've prepared. So there's no point. That was bad then. That's going to be probably a socket we're going to have to change. I pulled that IC out there, one of the pins there just popped up. I think it's pretty well broken, that, so I think we'll be having to put a new socket on there. Once I've got these chips out, I'll get you in and let you have a proper look at the board. The reason I want to take all these out that are socketed is I am literally going to give this thing a bath. And obviously we don't want to get water underneath chips and then have a bit of an issue getting it out. If I take everything that's socketed out, I'm not too worried about bathing this thing and then just drying it out. I mean, if anything's going to be ridiculous and not want to come out, I will leave it there because we'll deal with it later. But there we go, that one came out easily. But again, when I pulled that out then, it's lifted 2 actually. They're actually dual wipe sockets, which is nice. It's not like it's a C64 with the cheapest, nastiest sockets you can get. They are dual wipe sockets, but it's pulled 2 there when I pulled that IC out. Let's carry on. Let's take the basic ROM out. This is one of the ones we tested in the previous video, and we know that's good. some 74 series down here. We'll see how. I'm actually tempted to leave them in. Yeah, I'm tempted to leave some of these smaller ICs in actually. They are filthy and they're absolutely covered in the same gack and grease as the board. I think I'm actually going to leave them in and they're going to get a scrubbing with the rest of the thing. I mean, once they're cleaned, I will be taking them out. I'll inspect the legs on them. I'll probably have to end up changing these IC sockets. Let's pull one out for now and have a look at the state of the socket underneath it. Well, the fact that the socket come loose from the board as I pulled the IC out then doesn't bode well. Not bad quality socket again. But yeah, right. I've got all the main ICs that I wanted to preserve out of the main board. We already know from the previous videos testing that those three there are bad. That's the 6522s and the 6502. All three of them are no good, so we're going to have to find replacements for them. But I mean, for the moment, just to see how this board works, we could always pinch them out of my good known working BBC Micro. So let's get the main board out of the actual case. In fact, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? We've got the video connector here, which is soldered. Oh, well, it was very poorly soldered. I just touched that and it broke off. Let's see how much. The centre's a bit better attached, but let's break that off. We can address that after. Let's get the board out of the case. Fortunately, these the actual screws that are holding the board to the case look in quite good condition. Fortunately, I mean, that's one of the things with the fact that it had got drowned in something like WD. It has prevented any further real corrosion, and these screws aren't too bad. It's obviously been very wet and very rusty at one point in its life, as you'll see from the modulator when we actually get the board out of the case. Right, I think that's all the screws. Let's have a look. I think I've got all the screws out then. That feels loose. Right, why is that not coming up? Which way do we have to pull the board to be able to get it out? Or have I indeed missed? Will someone shout out where I've missed the screw? Ah, ugh. And this is the reason we call this project Mildrids Ashtray. We've found another one there. Let's get rid of that. So perhaps we have to take these two screws out as well. I thought they stayed in, but right. Let's try again. Well, the board's definitely loose. I don't want to risk flexing anything. That's my my only concern. Let's have a look from the bottom. You see, it's the it's little things on the bottom that hold the ribbon cables in that are preventing this from actually lifting out. No, I do push it forwards. I think that's the way to go. I think we've got to get it to go forwards a little bit, and then the modulator Ah, is that it? The modulator clear now? Yeah. Ah, right. What I've got to do is actually remove that BNC there on the back for the composite video out, because that's actually preventing the board coming up. Sorry if you can only see my elbows, but you'll see what I've been doing in a second. That little BNC that we took the wires off before, that needs to come out of the way. Now hopefully that should have given us enough room to retract the board. There we go. And there we are, we're out. Hopefully. There we go. Ugh. Oh, that's manky. Right, let's get the case out of the way. That's definitely going to need a scrub in the bath end itself. That's pretty filthy in there. That's that's a capacitor that's bit the dust. That's out of the power supply. I said that one of them had already gone bang in it. I'll get that out of the way. We'll move the case out of the way there, and we have the main board to have a look at. So it doesn't look too bad while it's on the desk. Here, let me zoom you in a touch. As you can see, it doesn't look horrendous. Oops. Get you down a bit. There we are. But it's just all covered with, like I said, this like sticky, fluffy residue from where it's been, well, basically where it's still had dust on it. It's just been covered over with, like I said, like a WD-40 or something like that. You can see how rusty it's been if we look at the if we look at the modulator there. Let's just bring you in, see if you can see that. You can see it's come on, focus. It is very corroded, that modulator. I'll find a replacement for that. Let me zoom you out a bit. Let's have a look on the rear of the board. I mean, fortunately, fortunately, the rear of the board, I'll have to find. Oh no, those do go into plastic, fortunately, so we did need to take them 2 screws out. I was doubting myself then. But fortunately, the back of the board looks in really nice condition. No, it's not sticky, but you can certainly see where there's little bits of corrosion on it. No green corrosion, fortunately. It's just a few solder points look a little bit dull, shall we say. It certainly doesn't look horrendous. Actually, it looks a lot better than I was expecting from what the other side of the board looks like. So yeah, the next thing I think I'm going to do is literally dunk this thing in the bath and give it a very gentle clean in the bath, and then it'll go in the oven for 15-20 minutes. Just a very low oven. I'll probably stick it in after I've done my tea tonight, and just let it dry out in the heat as the oven cools down, and should get it nice and dry then, and then we can take it from there. So join me in the second when you can see my glorious avocado coloured bathroom suite. So right back in a sec. Okay, we're all set up in the bathroom. I've not got it very deep. There's only about 1 inch of water in there. It's just mildly warm. It's not hot. It's just, you know, I can easily keep my hand in there. It's not burning hot or anything. And all I've done, I've just added a little splash of Star Drops all round cleaner there. It's just a general purpose cleaner. I've not put a lot in there. That's purely just to help to lift some of that oily residue that's on the board. I also have my my trusty pastry brush here, which is a really soft, incredibly soft brush, which is good for agitating the board without actually risking doing any damage to it. So without further ado, I've got the BBC board here, so you get it, and it's just literally is a case of dunking it in the water. And we take the brush, and literally all we want to do is give it a really good clean and just work around all the IC sockets. Like I said, what we're really trying to do is get this oily residue, which is all over the top of the board, off. You don't want to use like a scrubbing brush or anything to do this, because you could risk actually pulling components off the board. This pastry brush, obviously, like I said, it's designed for applying glazes to pastry, to raw pastry, so it is very, very soft in nature. We'll just carry on doing this for a few minutes. You can actually see in the bottom of the bath all the muck and rubbish which is coming off this board. There we go, we'll just get that out and give it a click. That really is looking better already. Put that back in. Just give it a couple more goes, because I'm not using any really harsh detergents on this. I don't want to risk doing more damage than good. But the way it was, there's no way we could really work on this board properly. We'd always be worrying about that oil going conductive eventually and causing all kinds of issues. So it really is better to get a nice clean board to work on before we actually start. Right, the last thing I'm going to do with that, obviously because that water has got the detergent in it, I'm just going to whack the shower head on. Yeah, oops. And the board will just get a final rinse off with the shower. Really just to get rid of any of the salts or anything that are in that detergent. That should be enough. It's not looking too bad, that. Switch the shower off. And there we go. All I need to do with that now is I'll let that sit there and drip dry until my tea is actually on at the moment. It should be done in about 5 minutes. So as soon as my tea is out of the oven, I'll let the oven cool down while I eat my tea, and then I can just stick that in at the last minute. I'll give it about 20 minutes so in the oven, just to help dry all the water out, and we'll make sure it's completely dry. And now we'll see you back on the bench when I've got this board dry, so see you in a second. Okay, and we're back, and as you can see oh, excuse me. As you can see, the board is actually looking significantly better for that. We've managed to get rid of, well, all that horrible nasty residue that was actually on the board. Like I say, it's looking quite clean, even all the ICs. These all had like a greasy, horrible look about them, and even them have all come clean. The only place I'm really not 100% happy is this top corner here, where the modulator and the this group of resistors and transistors. This is all to do with generating the composite video signal, I believe. And it is still a little bit on the manky side around there. Now what I'm tempted to do is actually take the modulator off and then do some. I might even take the resistors off in this area, depending. Once I've got the modulator off, I'll be able to see better. But just do some additional cleaning. I'll spin it round and zoom you in so you can see what I'm talking about. Right, here we are. Basically, this this area around here. I mean, in fact, if we just get a cotton bud and a little bit of isopropyl, and we'll just try giving it a really quick clean with this as well. We've not used any IPA or anything on this board yet. Ooh. But yeah, round here is still a little on the a little bit on the manky side. The rest of it is looking really quite clean now. We might actually get away, you know, with cleaning it like this and not have to take all those. Oops, you can't see what I'm doing there. We might actually be able to get away with it doing it like this and not have to take all them resistors out. Although some of them are looking a little bit on the green side on top, so we may be better off pulling them all out. But we'll see. We'll see when we get that far. But I'm happier that the board's at least looking a little bit more reasonable now. I mean, just that little bit of cleaning there, and let's see if I can get this into focus. Ugh. There we go. Is that focusing? That's just from cleaning that little bit. I mean, if I take the clean end of the cotton bud here, and I wipe it over like the rest of the board, I mean, there's a little bit of stuff come off, but you know, not. It's fairly clean, that, if you look. That's just rubbing it over the rest of the board, and obviously that's where we've just cleaned on this bit of the board here. We've got a lot of that I was seeing before has actually come straight off with that, so it can't have been too bad. And as I said, the rest of the board's actually come. Let me zoom you back out again. Oops, wrong way. The rest of the board's actually come really nice and quite nice and clean. So what I'm going to do, I'll put this board away in this anti-static bag for the time being, so that can go away and be safe in that anti-static bag until we come to work on that again. And the next video is really going to depend on what turns up. If my capacitors turn up, I'll probably do the long video on completely rebuilding that power supply. If they haven't turned up in a few days, or at least when for the next time I get a chance to do a video on this, I think we may instead have a go at the keyboard and see if we can get this keyboard back into A1 condition. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little update on Project Mildrids Ashtray. So, thanks for watching and goodbye.